Worse than the arguing, the fighting, the yelling, the screaming, there's something even greater than that kind of dysfunction that will indicate that your relationship is on the brink of disaster. You're like, what could possibly be worse than arguing, fighting, screaming, and yelling at each other? The first indication that your relationship is in jeopardy, the very first indication is that of stonewalling. What is stonewalling? Stonewalling is when one or both people decide they're not talking to each other. They don't respond. They can go days, even weeks and months without talking. It just boggles my mind that people can stop talking for that long of a time in a relationship and still be functioning. I remember when I was younger and I was angry with my mom, and I stopped talking to her, and I would just come home and sit down and eat the dinner. Of course, I had to eat. A girl still has to eat, even if she's upset and angry and frustrated, right? But in relationships where this person and you are in close proximity together, and you're supposed to have children together, responsibilities together, you're supposed to have the lines of communication open, and you're not talking to each other, you may as well have just dropped a bomb on some other country, because that's what you're doing in your relationship. You are sabotaging it. You are destroying your relationship by refusing to talk, by refusing to engage. Engagement is necessary in order to communicate. If you cannot even talk, then there's no communication. There's nothing to say, well, let's fix this. Let's go about doing this. How are we supposed to resolve this? Right? There's none of that happening when the lines of communication are down. When you stop talking, it means that somebody's not listening. I have a lot of videos on here about effective listening, about the importance of listening when you're arguing to the other person. But when the lines of communication are down, when you stop talking, when one partner or both partners decide, you know what, I have nothing to say, that means that neither one of you can hear or listen to what the other person is saying. At that point, it is detrimental that somebody say something so the other person can hear. But if the one person has decided, I don't want to hear what you have to say, then it becomes it's like it's horrible. It's almost like your relationship is at the brink where you can't even come back from it. The other thing is, it means that the lines of active communication are down, right? So communication is one of the four C's of the relationship: commitment, communication, compatibility, and compromise. When you cannot communicate in a relationship, that means that you don't know how to. You don't know how to, or you've given up on trying to communicate with the other person. Maybe there's stubbornness, maybe there's cultural differences, maybe you just don't understand where the other person is coming from. Maybe there's a lot of emotions there that prevent you from hearing and communicating with the other person effectively. You're angry, you're frustrated, you're annoyed, and those things precede communication. And once they're the president for communication, there's no way of getting through to the other person, right? The other thing is, it means that the frustration, resentment, patience levels have they've gone to an all-time high. You're no longer patient with this person. Your resentment is out the roof. You already resent them because they're causing you, pain and angst, and maybe interrupting your flow, your daily flow. And it's stressful. Think about the stress that's created when somebody doesn't understand you, or they're not willing to understand where you're coming from. That's a lot of stress that is unnecessary. And finally, it means that your relationship, like I said when I started this, is in jeopardy. When you stop talking, your relationship has taken a hit. It's not the ultimate hit. It doesn't mean that it's done, but it's taken a big hit, meaning that you have to find your way back to each other, or back to a common place where you can start over. Starting over is key. If you can start over and agree to disagree and agree to listen to each other so that you can hear what the other person is saying or where the other person is coming from, it's awesome. And there are people who can do this, but I have to be honest with you. Most of the people that I counsel, They don't know how to, to put the lines of, to put everything down that they're feeling, all the emotional baggage that they've accumulated during the relationship, which is resentment, all the other things I've mentioned. They don't know how to put that stuff down. All they know is that they're holding on to the anger because there has not been any resolution. At that point, you need to reach for help, whether it's a family member that is capable of interceding, or some people go to see their pastors or a counselor or a therapist. Just get somebody to come to intercede so that they can mediate between you so that you can start talking again. If you can't start talking again, then your relationship may never get back to the place where it was. And here's the thing, the longer you stop talking, the longer of a period you go without talking to each other, there's more buildup, there's more resentment, there's more frustration, there's more the likelihood that one or both people are ready to check out and start talking about divorce. Don't get to that point. Don't get to the place where you cannot talk. Keep the lines of communication open. Both of you must commit to the process of listening to each other, trying to understand where the other person is coming from, instead of holding on to your feelings and holding on to those negative feelings and emotions that will not allow you to hear the other person. You have to push through. You have to push on, and it can be done. You're not the only person that will find yourself here in a relationship. There's not one single relationship in this realm. Maybe there's some that I'm unaware of, and I'm sure they're the anomaly, but there's no relationship where somebody doesn't want to talk to the other person. When I was young, I had a social worker tell me, I was like, young and pregnant. I was 19. And I had a social worker say to me, he said, "You don't always have to like your mother." And I was like, "What did you just say to me?" He says, "You don't have to like your mother." And I was like, that was the best thing that anybody had ever said to me in my life. Because at that moment, all the frustration, all the resentment, all the anger that I had felt towards my mom, it just dissipated. It literally, I felt like a weight had been lifted, because it's okay to love her, but I didn't have to like her. And I know that's how you feel when you get to this place where you can't talk to your partner. You're thinking, I don't like this person. And that's okay. You don't have to like them. But as long as there's still love, love is worth everything. If there's still love between you, then it's worth it to take a break, find help, ask for help, and start the process of talking to each other again, with the understanding that you're willing to listen to each other. My name is Ingrid Felton. As always, thank you for subscribing to the YouTube video and visiting me today. I hope that I give you some value, some golden nugget from these little things that I say, and I hope that they're helpful to you in your relationship. As always, continue to subscribe, watch the videos, send me your comments. Your comments are valuable to me, and I look forward always to hearing from you. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.